This is everything you're going to need to know to complete the week 8 weekly parkour challenge in Orion Drift. And my apologies that this one is late, but I didn't have the usual time available that I do to work on these. And then when I did get time, this one's actually kind of challenging and it took me hours to complete. But you're going to need to know how to floor carve, wall carve, and ceiling carve. And I have tutorials on all of that if you don't know how already. But you're going to be doing it on slanted surfaces, which leads me to my first tip, which is try to match the angle of your hand to the angle of the surface that you're carving on. Because if you don't do that, you will notice that you'll slip or sometimes just not initiate a carve when you otherwise would have. All right, so this first carve isn't actually important. You can just drop straight down this wall, but then you're gonna stick your left hand out to your side and pull it back around you to carve and stay towards the top of that wall. Then you're gonna stick your right hand down below you and pull it around your body to carve down. At the end of that carve, flick your wrist to throw yourself down and at the same angle of the wall you're transferring to. This is going to be a theme for this week's parkour. Then you're going into a left-handed carve that you can throw yourself out of that should give you plenty of height and distance to make the jump. But if you are a bit short, just extend your hand as far out in front of you as you can, and you can even jump a little bit in real life. Hit the booster and then get ready to carve up with your right hand so you can match the angle of this ceiling carve. And remember that you cannot reach your hand out in front of you and that your hand needs to match the angle of the surface that you're carving on. Then you can either carve or paddle up to the top right corner. You don't need to go all the way, but you want to use gravity to build some speed here and go ahead and carve back down again to throw yourself at an angle that matches the surface you're about to transfer to. And you definitely want to keep this left-handed carve here really wide so that you don't lose very much speed, because you're going to switch to a right-handed carve and redirect all of that speed and momentum into the angle of the surface you're about to transfer to. Flick off with your wrist just like you did earlier, down and at that angle, switch to a left-handed carve, and then when you get to the end of the platform, throw yourself up into the air. If you did all of that right, you should make it to the wall where you can either wall carve or wall run to complete the parkour. The wall run, the wall carve is really easy. That jump though is definitely the hardest part of this week's parkour.